What's up, y'all? Good evening. I'm doing good, user. Doing good, man. Had a good weekend. Got a lot done. It was my wife's birthday, so it was nice. I took her a couple places, but I got a diamond got her a little diamond bracelet. Boy, I tell you what, jewelry's fucking expensive right now. That shit had me wincing. I was like, damn. I almost got a Rolex. I almost impulse bought one. But then I was like, nah. You said all that gay full of. How you think the market's gonna react with Trump fixing the tariff issue the same day on Friday? Um, I mean, it could be months and months before another resolution. So I stick to the chart in these situations. I think this could put a damper on certain things, but um, yeah, again, price is gonna be gonna be the focus. So get you a 5K Rolex. I'm not a watch guy. I'm not a jewelry guy. So hey Potter, another settlement needs my help. Oh God, no, please. Almost took that dude out. Right now I'm building a Vault 88 that I remember doing. I never finished one, but trying to build Vault 88, dude. This shit's actually mad hard. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, we'll take a look at it and just wait for everybody to hop on here. Can we see the progress of my Vault? I'd have to hook my PlayStation up. I can stream into the Discord. Oh my God, Bell. Dude, I was gonna shave, and I ended up cutting my finger open because I have like a, no, I'm not on Discord. I have like a razor, like a real razor. Like it comes with like the razor blades, and you like tie it together. Oh boy, that shit had me leaking. Just hit some liquid to amateurs. I know, dude. I hit this finger and then this finger. Is this SPX? This is ES right now. I'm just watching futures. All right. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. The open, I get kind of unmotivated when the opens like this. I know that I'm speculating short. I've talked about being short, but right now, if you look at the ES, we haven't lost what we needed. I mean, we could, by the morning, it'd be nice to be back underneath 6,800. But I was looking at this on the hourly, and if it can find a floor or bounce at level, it still has a fucking kick ass set up all the way to 69.80. So up or down. Thank you guys for tapping your screen. Potter, we want to see your face. I just ordered another camera, so I'll get my face back on YouTube. So Baba calls. All right, well let's go ahead and get to it. All right, so if you're hopping on YouTube, TikTok, whatever, again, just classes March 1st for the Potterbox workshop. 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. Uh, that's about it. But as far as the opens are concerned, not super enthused. Obviously, I'd like to see a little bit more price action. We're still hanging on to floors, still haven't lost anything underneath us, still haven't gained anything or broken over that 69.25 area. So as far as futures are concerned, they could be locked up here. I know lower time frame, there's definitely a gap up there too that could get filled, but Trump kind of announced he captured Epstein. I shouldn't even say that on my stream if I'm being honest with you. Um, but anyway, so as far as and again looking at the ES on the 24-hour, whatever I said last week is going to be true this week, and then going into uh, going into the open tomorrow is really where we're going to be able to make a plan. So uh, in Q, same story virtually. It is actually losing its top right now. If we're underneath that, we get a major gap down. Maybe my theory was correct, but this is leaving a gap behind. So those of you guys trading futures, pay attention to this sucker right on that floor and right off this retest here. These are two levels that we could see a potential reversal at. Bullish at open. I'm gonna wait for the analysis. Imagine I went into the open though, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm bullish because of this guy that hopped into my TikTok." You know what I mean? I'd look kind of silly. Also, that would be kind of silly. I again, I I don't care about the open tomorrow. I care about losing, and again, going back to the cues because I told you guys I'm going to make a bag. Um, Let's block this guy. Ooh, did I block the right person? Yeah, I did. Anyway, so I've told you guys on the IWM chart and the QQQ chart, we are going to make a bag. Period. End of story. There, the tension on the 24 on the weekly for the Qs to the upside, and then with the IWM, which I could probably say I'm more excited about IWM than I'm excited about anything else. That is, I mean, you could be an idiot and make a bag off of this. You could play both sides with low risk and still make a bag. So I mean, like the move is coming. Tomorrow's open is again just a small piece of that puzzle. So I'm not a right. I'll come back tomorrow. People are so weird. He's gonna come in here. I'll have played some bounce and played it to the upside, and he'll be like, "Look, I told you it was bullish." Dudes do that. Girls don't. Women don't do that. Men do that. I don't know why men do that. They're in weird competitions. All right. Anyway, so with IWM, again, as long as we're still underneath 267, I'm bearish. But again, let's actually we can look at the futures right now, and you'll notice that this one is taking a little bit of a dive down. But again, when we move into a lower time frame, we haven't lost our range. So again, we're in a read and react scenario. Women are smarter than us and manage risk way better. Yes. Yeah, emotionally, it's also easier. It's easier to teach a woman than it is to teach a man and men in general, especially sometimes young men, because they're so hot-headed or blinded by a lot of different things. But everybody's different. I'm not trying to say that young dudes are bad or impulsive or anything like that. But they do have those predisposed potential hurdles in front of them. I'm only saying that because that was also me. I was hot headed. I yeah. I knew a lot of dudes were as well. So how do I feel about QQQ? Well, I'm focusing on NQ right now, obviously, but as far as this open is concerned, right? We lost anything? Have we gained anything, or are we still in the same exact range? One of the areas I'd like to see be underneath that 2,500, but I'm gonna be honest with you, as somebody who's looking for the bigger move, and again on the lower time frame, there is huge. Oh my, like Oh my god, I'm actually amped up. I'm excited about the potential here. Uh, but right now we're still stuck in that range. So I'm only looking to take this one up where we have a potential punchback and then half of that empty space up above. Or maybe we're bound to hit that 24.5. So but that's with the NQ right now, and nothing that is happening as far as price action is concerned, other than that open. That's bearish, but we haven't lost anything, so continuation doesn't happen quite yet. But anyway, if you guys have anything you want me to take a look at, really this live is just kind of head hunting, looking for some solid setups. So if you guys are, again, um, looking at any individual equities, we can take a look at those now. I know some of you guys are watching Elf with me, or rather, you have equity in Elf with me. And this one on the weekly closed really, really, really well. And I did reload on that one, but I am looking for a first target of around 103 and 106. It's not a great options trade. It's just I have made a lot of money just playing the equity on this one, going back to like $88 all the way into the highs. I actually had two opportunities to get out of that one, and then I ended up loading back up on this one in the 50s, and yeah, that was a real fucking treat. But you said Kava, that is a pretty crispy ass setup, actually. That is a good set. That's a good setup. That's a good setup. It hasn't triggered, but that's a good setup. Yeah, you guys did a good one, or found a good one on that one. Obviously, there's just a few things that need to happen on this, but no, that's a good setup. I'll explain to you guys why in just a second after I fix my goddamn screen, bro. Ooh, nah, we're not. We're not doing that one. Oh shit, that's loud. My bad, y'all. All right, so let's break down why this is a good setup. If you guys want, tap your screen. I'd appreciate it greatly. On the 24 hour, and I want to be extremely clear on this one, it is not triggered. But is it a good setup that we can be looking for a trigger on? Yes. Is it a potential 5 to 600% trade off the top of my head here? Absolutely. That's $11 move. So if you had, again, knowing how price moves typically through empty space, right? It's not like we don't. Those of you guys who know my strategy, we're looking for that type of push up, and it's empty space that'll allow it to do that. And so I mean, I can't tell you. Yeah, this is a great setup, and I'm gonna write it down before I move any further. All right, so what needs to happen in order for this one to break? I think this one's really obvious, right? The kindergartner kid tell me this. 7266 is going to be step one. Now we can, and this will be a good example for you, those of you who are asking me about entries. I'll show you right now how to potentially find an entry on this setup. Um, Starting with the 24 hour or the weekly and the 24 hour. So on the weekly, right, we can see this place. So this is a weekly setup as well. And over the top, or essentially on the weekly, I do see a green candle here at 73.80. But other than that, it's 72.50 on the weekly. We need to see a break over. Now, on the 24-hour time frame, we don't really have any structure over here that's clear, but we do have empty space directly up to 85.75. So we'll find two targets inside of this trade. One of the first targets would be 78. The second target would be 83.75. Now, I'm noticing that this one does have earnings coming up close, so it's likely that Kava will probably hit that mark, possibly on earnings. Definitely something I would not go one-sided in. I would definitely grab a hedge just in case. But this is a good setup. Earnings or not. Now, we need a candle close, and I'm going to pretend like it doesn't have earnings and show you guys how I would find a potential entry on this one. But other than that, right, 72.50 is our candle close on the 24-hour. Now here we really don't see anything else, right? I'm not seeing anything clear as far as a structure is concerned. And we're going to keep moving down here. All right, so already, again, like I said, there is and was not very much structure, but there is the thinnest of ranges created in pre-market here with a floor of 71.95, right? And that might not seem important, but it is. And I'm going to show you guys again as I move down, this box still reveals itself and that $72 floor is still relevant. So right now, looking to my left, and why we're stopping where we are, right? This is a sell level or psychological level of $70. And so in order for continuation to be seen, we need to A, stay above this range here, which has a top of 68.97, and we have a first overhead target of the wick of 71.28 and the floor of 71.90. Again, for a higher time frame trade, those would be potentially longer, or if you're looking at this from the higher time frame, then you would be using this lower time frame setup not as targets but as triggers. So I'd like to see a break through the 50% mark, grab onto the floor of 72. 50% mark is 72.50. That is the exact same level as I told you on the 24-hour. And so that's where you would look at a 30-minute time frame setup, right? Now, again, the same thing is true as long as the chart is all the way down to the 5 and even the 3-minute still holds that together. So that's a pretty solid setup top and down. And so you could use a lower time frame candle, 5-minute, 15-minute, to start adding into that trade. So delicious. Can you guys see my chart okay? The full picture in there? Okay, good. What's going on? What contracts would I be looking at? For the whole enchilada, and again, this is for, well, you also have to consider this as earnings. And so you would really not want to over risk on this one, $82 to the upside. And then I would be looking at probably $50. So this could be a straddle setup, depending on where it closes. If it's already breaking over 73, 72.50, then you could take weekly contracts on this one, depending on the day that it breaks. If it was like, say, I don't know when earnings is, if it's this, yeah, a Tuesday. So yeah, you could take weekly contracts on this one. You would just really want to keep the risk low because again, it is earnings. And like I said, unless it was over that 72.50, I would definitely hedge. So, all right, so that's a good setup. What else are we looking at here, guys? Damn, futures are really coming down right now. What are we looking at? Me? Nah, nah. Gold and silver. I mean, obviously GC is probably where it's at right now. Yeah, that, you know what? That's crazy. That's exactly, it's basically almost to my target here. If maybe I was off, but yeah, I mean, I still see 52 as a potential target here. I think this could be gold's range for quite a long time, but yeah, that first target up there, and then I mean, if you look at the 2-hour, actually, it's all the way up at 5,300. Um, I mean, honestly, right now, I don't see any reason why, as long as you can hold 5140, looks fire. Oh, those my alerts. I need to change the sound on that. Suspicious ass sound. Whoa, hey, I don't like that at all. Didn't like that at all. Huge mistake. I only let men whisper in my ear off camera. Oh, Billy Clinton. I'm sorry. I've been stimming on that for a while. I let Bill Clinton rub the tanning lotion on my body. Sorry. All right, we're done. We're done. We're done. We're done. All right. What do we get? I think I saw someone say Tesla. Listen, rather skateboard into a pothole until this one actually gives me a signal. As far as the weekly is concerned, right, I still feel there is a high probability of potential bearishness considering you, this stock's inability to hold price above 417.60 last week. However, it has not lost the weekly candle that I need it to, which is basically 400, but 401 is what needs to be lost. And when that is lost, I am going to short, and it does feel like news is probably going to fuel this fucker down. But I have a target of 367 and 355 on the 24-hour. But as you can see, we still have a formidable amount of volume directly up above us here with cost basis, which again, if you're new here, the 50% mark of any area of consolidation on the 24-hour time frame is going to be the main focus here. So I would be still on a lower time frame, unbiased and without a position until, again, 420 blaze it is above you, and then of course that wick down below. So how about shorts on Microsoft? Uh, I mean, obviously, with market cooperation, one of the things that we look for on the floor to kind of gauge um, volume or gauge its ability to potentially reverse is how it responds to that floor. And you did get a bounce, but that bounce didn't result in anything. And the 50% mark of this range was not crossed. So any long would be over 404.50. However, it is absolutely necessary that 494, right, on the 4 hour is lost. And I'll say this: I am not a huge fan of shorting floors, and I'm definitely not a huge fan of shorting uptrends and trackable ones. Again, I do not use trend lines. I do use channels, but in this case, right, I would want to see a candle definitively below 395, and then at that point you got a sticky situation, um 392.50 and then 389.80. So I mean, you can, I don't say that to be scared at the position, but you need to have a great stop loss, because the floors are where you are notorious, right, for wicking down and then ripping back up. And one of the things that I look at as a potential reversal catalyst is empty space or a lack of structure up above. And if anything, Microsoft, and I tried to take a position on this one last week, and it didn't turn out. I mean, I got out, but this one is looking for a break over that 405.50, and then your target would be 412. Now, with the upwards trajectory here, we're looking, potentially up into the 425s. This channel is definitely a little cleaner right here. So with that being said, just be careful. Again, I'm not a huge fan of shorting the floors without overhead market cooperation, so the cues would definitely need to be falling. Um, don't forget to warn everybody about me. Who is me? I don't know who you are. So, what's up, bro? Does it cost more to do options? Riskier? No, it does not. At all. With the Let me show you something actually. You see this? This is a trade that somebody posted on Lulu. I only with a 2K account. Here's the thing: if I had $2,000, I go back in time. I learned this strategy first with 100 or 200 bucks, and I buy one or two contracts at a time, and I'm testing the strategy out itself. And usually, when people post gains in my Discord, they do it when they have runners left. They get their risk off the table because it's stupid to screenshot stuff if you still can potentially lose money. So, but this was a $37 contract. Um, that yeah, which netted them $338. And I know you're probably like, well, that's probably really lucky, uh, but you be wrong. So do you try to call out any signals in the Discord? Just try to help. Every trade that I like or I'm looking to take is discussed, broken down. Every setup, I mean, somebody just pointed out Kava, which is a potential 500 to 600% 24-hour higher time frame trade setup. I've gone over this one, but from the weekly actually to the 24-hour has a great target of 8350. On a long-term basis, which I actually do have equity in Kava, it actually has a pretty sexy setup. And definitely room to run all the way into the 111s, depending on how buyers like that floor. This floor is very, very important, and this is where you keep it fucking simple, right? We're looking at that floor, same shit that's happened before. We're gonna play it the same way, and there's nothing to stop us all the way. So yeah, I mean, honestly, one of the beautiful things about my Discord, and I'm not saying this because I don't want new people who are just seeing me to join my Discord because that would not be a good idea. But one of the goals, right, is that you either A, have been watching me long enough, gone through my YouTube channel, and you're making money, or you know what my system is because you've taken the workshop. But when we discuss plays, like I'm discussing this one, I talk about the contracts I'm going to take. I show people where I'm putting my alerts, where I'm going to get in, where my first trim is, and it's again discussed and as the play is happening or potentially breaking. I'm not posting signals in my Discord. Um, I have been doing this for years. I've been doing this before GameStop, before, it was starting to get cool. Um, and I have watched people go in and out of the same revolving doors, the same signal doors where they think just following somebody is going to work. But I'm telling you this right now, and you can either learn vicariously through me and others, or you can go and find out yourself and again feel whatever that's like. But most people, especially those of you who are new, it starts like this, right? You see a signal page, they finally reel you in. You take a couple signals right at the beginning, you figure out how to buy and sell contracts, and everything goes well, right? You're doing okay, maybe you know a little bit, and then you actually start learning. And when you start learning, shit hits the fan. Because now you have the variable, right? The information variables, but they're not pieced together. You don't have a strategy, but you're still going to incorporate the knowledge that you do have, right? And a lot of people are learning shit that you can Google, which is not an edge. So, that being said, no, signals, and I've watched this now for years. I've seen some people make hundreds of thousands of dollars off of like a crazy signal, and then blow it all because they don't know how to hold on to it. There are no shortcuts. People who chase after money, they get whacked. With how do I get money? A strategy. If you just want money, everybody wants money. That's not a strategy. So, um, Unk Zoo. He's acting like he didn't post a video saying he's gonna warn people about me. Oh, you must be somebody that's doing the old scamalama ding dong. Sure, yeah. I probably did say that, and I probably will. I just wasn't paying attention to you because I'm trying to find this money. We can find a time to interact maybe a little bit later. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I see a lot of creators on here that are full of shit, and so you're just one of many, probably. Um, so yeah. Oh wait, wait, wait. I think I do know who you are. I think I do know who you are. Yeah, I think I might. Yeah, you look like you're full of shit. I'm gonna lie. I watched a couple of your videos. I was like, yeah, nah, this guy's spouting off about some bullshit. Anyway, I don't really have time for you right now because again, money. Um, but yeah, I'm not really into the whole kumbaya shit on TikTok with other creators. There's a couple people I do like. The Trading Initiative is fire. He's one of the best swing traders I've ever met in my life. I'm a swing trader too, but he's like 6 to 8 months out, and bro, they clap shit. He's the only other person who posts the kind of percentages that I do. Oh, is he freaking out in here? Unk, is he unk? Cheeks? I ain't going nowhere. Oh man, I'm shaking in my boots. Let me take them off. Actually, yeah, kind of sounds nice. Damn, I'm not wearing boots, but I don't know why I had my shoes on. That was nice. That was nice. All right. Anyway, so Kava is on the watch list. What else do we have? Go ahead and drop your request, my boy. He has his boyfriends in here too. Oh, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. Sure. UNP. Is that at all time highs? Yes, it is. So I'm just gonna let you know right now. And my strategy does not work at all time highs. Every strategy has holes. Mine is all time highs because I thrive off of structure, off of empty space or lack of structure. And when we're at all time highs, at that point, you're either using Fibonacci's or you know where sector money is going. Now, I will say this: TTI said that this is, again, and I trust his opinion on because he's one of the only people I do know that is proficient at taking things into all time highs. And obviously, money is rotating into this area, including Canadian Pacific and Union Pacific and a bunch of other railroads. But the Canadian Pacific, that thing has been in range for I think it was like 5 years or something like that. So I see it's not quite at all time highs. That's all time highs for me. Maybe dividend adjustment. What? Oh, hold on. My cat wants out. Cat with the chain. Show him your chain, son. Show him the chain, man. Yeah. Bust down. Okay, all right, my bad. Cat's wealthy. We saw you bend over. Okay. Cat's name? That's Anakin. Does TTI and Manny will have a portion for this upcoming workshop? I haven't asked him yet, but maybe. Potter stocks a collab with Unk. I have nothing against you guys. We just trade differently. I listen. If I knew who you were, like really, I think I know who you are, but I can't look at your shit right now. Then I could say more, but I have no idea. You've been with Rusty for 8 months. How's that going? All right. What else are we looking at? You were in his comments today. I don't remember. I'll be in lots of comments. IWM. I've already talked about this one. Listen, every time I look at this one, it makes my toes fucking pop out of the top of my shoes, dude, like Rumpelstiltskin. If you haven't watched Shrek, then you don't know what I'm talking about. I got two kids, so um, oh, I'm I'm preparing to make a bag, and I think like I don't care what strategy you use, everybody knows that via compression, right, or contraction comes expansion, and I've already gone over this a couple of times. Oh boy, do we need a lot of money to start trading? Absolutely not. Also, I'll show you guys my gains in the gains page and the risk to reward. No, you do not need. In fact, we had somebody take $50 to I think it was over $2,500, and then they started over again. Um, I focus on low risk, high reward. And those of you guys who are just watching me for the first time, don't even go and look at my website. You can watch me for a week. Go look at my YouTube channel. Go look at my educational playlist, and you can trade with us, right? Live. I do live trade on TikTok here and there, but I say here and there, but it's like every other fucking day. But no, I need to take 2K to 20K. I feel you. So let me just show you really quick, and I'll take 2 minutes to do this. My point here on before I leave, again, a child could do this. You go look back at the time and range, or you just go simply look at where candles go sideways. Right? Concept here is very very simple. We can go back and cyclically, right? These are there are these areas or even time frames where it might be a month, or it might be in this case it was over a month that we spend sideways. So like we've had a couple of really good day trades on IWM, but what's going to open up is really fucking great swing trades. Where we're playing off of continuation, and there's a cycle that happens with IWM where typically off of this expansion zone, you're going to run typically 2 to 3 weeks in a row, right? One, two out of this expansion. You do go for a third, but that gets drawn back. You go into range, two candles up here, one, two, three here, one, two. And again, these are weekly candles, right? Coming off of a floor, you get three candles. So it's like a pretty even downside. One, two, three, sideways. So, I mean, again, you don't have to have even a strategy to know what, or look at that and say, yeah, after every area, three candles, one, two, three, one, two, three, one, two. Uh, this shit, that one goes for four candles. But again, the concept is simple. Playing it right is coming down to the 24-hour time frame and doing top-down analysis, where obviously expansion is likely to occur to the upside over 267.35, and then we have a floor underneath us, which we are sitting on cost basis right now, which is the 50% mark, and that is where we're looking for a drop down to 257, again inside of that range. But what I'm really looking at, and the concept behind what could be a potential short, is how many times do I need to offer somebody a fucking product at a certain price before I have to lower the price, right? And that has been the story of especially the QQQ over the last couple of months, weeks, yeah, months. We have been offering up that price, and nobody wants it, right? And I literally, I mean, there has been weeks where you have I had the opportunity to go into highs, and then when you're given that opportunity to go into highs, you are denied. So what's the most you hit for? 57,000 in one trade, and then highest percentage is 40,000% on ANF. But how many times am I going to offer this price, right, before eventually it drops? And then when it does drop, if I still can't find buyers to pick up, right, the floor, or pick up this product, I'm going to have to keep lowering the price. And I see 5 days, right? I think that's why this week is going to be so important, because there are opportunities to the upside, 100%. In fact, my strategy, I have a signal essentially over 614 candle close 4 hour time frame to be looking for a pretty large trade up to 422.30 and pretty much this entire bar into the 630s. That being said, right, if we do not, and if you look at, well, I haven't looked at futures in a second here, but if you look at futures, that opportunity is being squandered again. So again, until floor, and I'll say until floors are lost, that short bias premise is, just that. It's just a temporary bias and will change depending on where this candle goes. I don't trade in range, and I typically don't trade in these small ranges either. So how to join my Discord? How long have you been watching me? Just asking. All right, Neo. Let's take a look at this one. I love Neo. One of the Neo is it's actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. This one's not bad. Um, and we Neo is really really fun to trade. and sometimes really really simple. The last time we took this one, again, I love boxes. I'm like a cat or something, but we took this one coming out of this range. We have a simple concept that you can take with you from here. And again, one thing you'll notice if you are watching me for the first time, I use the 24-hour chart with extended hours on. And I have all of my NYSE ARCA data, so there's no delay. This is essential for what I do because without it, I would not be able to see structure um, the way that I do. And I've shown people 1,000 examples of what I think it could be maybe one of the world's biggest uh, stock market conspiracies where people have, and I actually argued this. I had an argument live with AI and I backed it into a corner because it was like, well, maybe you have a point. And again, AI is not the benchmark here. Again, my understanding and what I see in front of me is really where I came up with the concept. But the 24-hour, again, the market runs from 4:30 in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. And that's you're missing when you look at the daily time frame, you're only looking at you're looking at trading volume. But hold on a second, right? You're looking at trading volume. 80 80 to 90% of market movement is in after hours trading, pre-market, after. So why are we leaving that data out? It's one of the biggest, like, and when I did that, again, I'm saying that, and I can show you, when you take that away, the chart changes drastically. Yo, if we keep falling on IWM, we might actually make a bag on those low risk positions that we took. Oh, sweet. But I'll show you guys on a classic example of play I took. This play actually helped me get my uh, dental surgery, which was $20,000. But this was a huge play, and this is actually a perfect example for those of you guys who are watching me. This is my strategy, right? In a complete nutshell. And I typically focus only on the higher time frames. I don't focus on it so much on lower time frame trades because again, 80 to 90% of market movement is in after hours. Um, but if you look at this chart, right, and you look at this box, the wicks, the bodies, everything's kind of aligned, and I can see structure very, very clearly. If I get rid of this, right, and this is again, this is the market that I see, and then this is the market that everybody else sees, which is almost unrecognizable, right? There is sometimes where there is not much after hours trading, but that structure is eliminated and it doesn't look as clean and there are a lot of wicks and it's just showing me trading volume, and so there's really not as clear of a signal on the daily as there is the 24-hour, and there's some stocks that carry a lot of after hours volume, and therefore it is absolutely essential. So if you, even if you never watch me again, take that into consideration. It makes finding plays a lot easier. So um re-downloaded TikTok just to watch my live. Oh, thank you, man. Is the workshop going to be different from the one in June? I mean, it's going to be a repeat, but the more people that are in there, the more questions that are going to be asked. And, that's the one thing about the workshops is every one of them is the same structure, but more meat, I guess, if you will. Because when I teach this class, everybody's allowed to unmic. Um, or raise their hand or whatever to come up and ask a question or type in the chat. And like I said, I don't move on until I know that people understand what I'm saying. So, Shelbo the God? No, I'm always coming back, Potter. When is the workshop happening? It's on the 1st of March. So it's at 5:30 and it is recorded and you'll have access to it forever. All right. Anyway, let's see what else are we looking at here. Apple. Actually, so again, if I'm not mistaken, and I need ugh, I can tell think something goes wrong here. There it is. Oh, sweet. Apple has a pretty good setup. Discord is on my website. If you're really itching to get in, again, I want everybody who joins to have a base, at least a decent understanding of my strategy, what we're looking for, and everybody typically who has gone in here has taken the workshop or has gone in depth through my YouTube channel. So just remember, if you're trying to get in to learn, The workshop is the priority, or my YouTube channel, which, again, it's just not in chronological order. It's not the same format. The same information is in there. But anyway, so let's get to Apple, because this is a really good setup. I'm not trying to focus on the website stuff right now. So, but that being said, there's two targets here on Apple, and I am looking, and we just have to consider this. The market is right now pulling back, pretty decent actually. The IWM is getting kind of heavy now. It's down around my 26 RTY is getting around my 2600 floor. Um, NQ, let's see, where is that bad boy at right now? Will the workshop show me how to navigate skills for this program? Yes. It is from the beginning. Yeah, it, the whole thing, top down, is from brokerages to candlesticks and all the way up, because I almost didn't teach candlesticks. But the way that I don't name candlesticks, I don't listen to pattern names. All of that stuff is something like, it's kind of wild to me that so many people still use all of these different patterns, when there is a individual who went and back tested all of these major patterns on higher time frames, and the return on like 80% of them was just absolutely trash. That, inverse head and shoulders is something that does have weight, but it's where it's at and what's in front of it that really matters to me, because otherwise I really could care less. But anyway, that being said, we could, and if Apple is underneath 260, 250, then expect a pullback first. Yes, we are carrying an uptrend, and yes, it is going to be actually through this structure here. We did close basically sitting up against cost basis, and we're looking for a break over 266. There is a great setup here. So for those of you guys who are looking at Apple, you'll have a first resistance, and this really will be where we find out if the rest of this, what could be a potentially big play, is likely to get filled. Um, so we're looking at a first target of 267.38. If that floor does get reclaimed, and you'll know that by if a candle closes here on the 2 hour on that floor. And of course, we can do lower time frame work to do that. But beyond that, we'd be looking at 270, which is absolutely a psychological number. You'd be looking at 271.68 and the floor of 270, 275. So, or does this not? What stocks interest you more when the U.S. declares war with Iran? Um, so right now, if it's already run, like, be obvious, there's obvious stocks. One of the ones that I know is going to move, and I don't know if so I've, seen conflicts come and go, and price typically builds into those things. But with BA, this is one that on both sides of the trade, it has opportunity, and a lot of the times you'll pull back first. It's not always immediate. One thing that bugs me, not bugs me, but I'm not super fond of for the upside on BA, however. And again, war stocks, uh, it's interesting how they respond to the war itself. It's like they kind of like wait a second and then start building up into that break. But with that being said, there's a level underneath us that I think that we might be in great need of retesting, but we filled up, and this is again a litmus test of volume. We filled up straight to that 260, 259 floor, and immediately fell flat on our face. And not only did we fall, we fell back underneath what we had worked to break over. Um, and now are doing the same thing again. So if that, again does happen, I would, want to see BA back over 237.50. But it's all setup based. I have to say that, like, I don't care what the stock is, as long as it has good trading volume and the setup is there. And I am one of these. I mean, I'm the kind of person where I said this, the day before it happened, but uh, and it was, news that we knew was coming, but ultimately, I believe that institutions are well aware of future news, and oftentimes, even make decisions on future news. These institutions, are future movement, and when you control so much of something, it's not hard to set price up or to sell at the top of a range and buy at the bottom to keep price controlled. So that way, when that news does hit, the move you're already in position. So I believe that the setup front runs oftentimes the news. So it may not that may not be true always in things like biopharmaceuticals, but it definitely is true on things that are institutionally held. So anyway, all right, let's keep moving. Can I talk about how I draw my channels? Sure. I'll do that really quickly. So one of the first things that I look for when I draw my channels is a wide fluctuation in price that is obviously a major change to the one that's already in place. So, it could be something where it drops down and pops up like this. But in this case, right, a wide fluctuation in price is where price expands and then immediately reverses back to where it started. This can and oftentimes is a trend changing price action, even if it is on a lower time frame, right? That being said, when I do spot that wide fluctuation in price, which I call a mouth, which after I said it out loud, I kind of regretted it because I'm like, I need to find the mouth, and that just isn't as socially acceptable as I thought it would be. That being said, I typically start, and oftentimes the wicks are included. In this case, it's not, but I'll do what most people do, and I'm looking for points of contact, right? And I'll expand that down to the middle of this range. Now, I want to make something super duper clear. I am not somebody who is like completely dead set on channels. In fact, I think so there was a channel that we were tracking before, and we took a trade on this stock, Celsius, and this was last year. This was a 1200, I think 1300% trade at the end of it. And there was multiple re-entries. In fact, we had a lot of people once this floor. We use kind of a rock climbing. It's a simple concept, but when you're trading or you're looking at any time frame actually for that matter, you're looking for price to settle on a floor because it is of seller's interest to push that price back down. And so if price settles there, it's a good sign for continuation, no matter how you ripped. But if you look at Celsius, it has that wide fluctuation in price. It starts building what looks to be a channel, right? You've got pretty much everything you need. And then at the top of that channel, the candle goes red. But I told people in this scenario, and in fact, not even that, right? Typically, you're always going to find that channels are pieces of themselves, or there's fractals of channels. So, like right here, you'll even notice that we hit the top of that channel for a third time. But when you pull back, you lose nothing. So, all I'm saying here is channels are not as important as people make them out to be. They are only temporary dynamic control, which is just a really it just sounds super smart. It's not. It's just saying that it's not horizontal, right? And it's dynamic is it's not horizontal price. So it's a dynamic trend line, but these only show or exhibit short-term control. Higher time frame channels can be the same too as well. But anyway, that's how you build a channel. And Celsius was again, this is a picture perfect setup of what I'm looking for to maximize my money. And the reason why I'm able to pick target based contracts and pay so little for them, but have, and again, I was going to show you guys this earlier, but the percentages that we make in our Discord, people look on my website and, it's kind of hard to believe, but it's our ability to spot and stick to these sort of setups where there is no resistance in front of you. And we, again, set ourselves up to be able to trim, reduce our risk, and hold runners all the way. So, all right, what are my thoughts on SPY? Um, right now, with the ES pulling back as strong as it is, I have been continuously talking about the potential short. That there was a potential short on the Qs, on IWM, and on SPY. And one of the things that I really was focusing on in this area in particular was where our floor was above us and how price reacted to that. And we closed pretty much flat green on the 19th of February, directly overhead. and we're unable to reclaim this floor slash overhead resistance that we've had to fight for or fight over a lot. And so one of my theories was that it could be a potential retest that we keep experiencing. And this example, I think is clearer on the 24-hour time frame. And so with this, right, we look over to our left, and again, this overhead 24-hour floor on the cues has been rejected. And this is actually where we kind of stayed out of. So first green candle to my left here, that is my floor. That is 617. And then directly underneath us, right, this level, and I know this might be confusing to some of you guys who are new, but it's really simple. You can go over and look to your left, and there will be levels, right, that when we break them, it is of interest, major interest, for buyers to keep price from falling and closing underneath it, because again, the consequences typically upon that first close is a pullback, even if it is small. But we've seen this time and time again. And what level are we retesting right now? And we just went red on futures against, it's that same floor. So I have been maintaining a short bias on the cues since, what was it, January, end of January. I said if we do all of this work, if we struggled for this long to get price outside of this overhead wall, and then immediately we pull back, I'm short. And I ended up nailing a nasty ass short to the downside with about 2 weeks or 3 weeks of expiration underneath me. We ended up playing it back up for retest. And then as of right now, I'm still waiting to take a much larger position. Is the workshop 3-1 good for beginners? Yes, that's highly recommended for beginner traders. I'm literally in some ways holding your hand as we go through the beginning and all of it. So, uh, Oracle, you see it going lower. Yeah. Okay. So this could be that wide fluctuation in price that I was talking about. And I do not, so you don't have any structure. You just bounce. And that's one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of just rebounding. It makes for some really, like, taking bounce trades is, can be really, really profitable, especially if you're great with your targets. But when you don't build, it's really hard to continue moving. You're just exhausting the volume that you bounced off of. So definitely with this box floors being pulled down, I would be looking at the 50% mark of that bounce itself, right? So the first target, and you'll actually notice over here to your left, that's where price sits before. So 144 would probably, 144.41 would need to be lost in order to see continuation down to the floor there. Why are you dubbing me today, man? Dubbing you? What do you mean dubbing you? I don't get out till 6:30 your time. Would it still be able to attend the workshop? Yeah, we don't go. I mean, I do it for about 2 hours. I mean, the first 20 minutes is usually me talking, prep, go recapping and stuff like that. So, but if anything, I mean, again, it's all recorded. So, yeah, I got you. Second. Oh, that's what's fucking missing. Oh shit. Hold on one second. Yeah, I see those longboards. Yeah, we be riding. That's my coconut husk one. My wife got me that one. That motherfucker would be talking to me when I'm trading. No, I'm just kidding. What's up, Put Bros? How you doing, man? What the fuck is going on? Yo, what in the hell? Every time I click on the TikTok app, it keeps saying it's trying to get me to buy coins. What the fuck? Oh, that was weird, dude. $9 with the plant. How can this be used for futures prop firms? Yes, man. Yes. I listen, I have multiple students getting payouts. Like consistently, one of my students, he was just in here. He's posted um he actually sent me his 1099. Yeah. All right. If IWM drops, what's my target? Ooh, baby. I've got actually some pretty nasty targets on this one, and I think that when we oh, so this is where we get into it, right? When I go to the weekly, which is where I'm basing, a lot of this trade on, one of the first targets is and has to be 255. But I see a target of 251, basically 250 right here. And if you look at where that target lands in the 24-hour, it's basically the middle of this range that we moved through. It's so perfect. Oh my God, I love when they connect like that. Sheesh. So the first logical target for me for a big fat dumper, nasty. And that's again just observing this overhead resistance that's just continue. I mean, that's where we go long, but we got floors to lose. So you be acting like you about to bust when you see IWM. I just see money, dude. It gets me all hot and bothered. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, dude. When I look at this thing on the weekly, dude, I'm telling you, bro, I've gone through multiple pairs of shoes because my toes just pop right the fuck off of. Thoughts on ICT? Not a lot of thoughts, dude. Not a single thought behind those eyes. I think that that's where all the fish are swimming and all the fish in that stream are getting eaten, dude. I ain't swimming in that pond. I'm just letting you know. If everybody's fucking using it, if everybody's doing it, probably not. Probably not. Also, I think that with the in combination with prop firms, it makes it even that harder. But trying to get off a question for the last 40 minutes. Uh, what's your ultimate floor on the Qs? IWM, if we break, we're cooked and flush. I mean, the Qs, IWM, I just went over that one, but with the Qs, like a major break down and the target on the Qs, and this is where, honestly, listen, the Qs has I think is more predisposed to fall, or really has the most to offer here. But I have a nasty, you have the 588.91, and that's a journey down to 575. Period in the story. Where's the box in this chart? In which chart? On Qs, there's a weekly box directly up ahead of us, which we're rejecting right now in futures, but it's right there. Points of contact overhead. Again, I ignore the wicks, and then floor right here. So I listen. I do too with geopolitics, but again, I'm going to be taking a rather large position on this short with a good solid expiration, just like I did up here, which saved me from getting stopped out on a wick. But again, with a longer expiration, I'm able to manage my trades a lot better. And when again, when we haven't lost anything, um, that helps a lot. to work through whatever volumes underneath us. So, do I swing on IWM? Fuck yeah, I do. Yeah, I swing IWM. You got a screenshot of me picking up my cat earlier. That's fucking. That's crazy to know that I'm in your phone. What are you gonna do with that picture? Start wearing a mask. Is a 3 week considered strong? Three. So 25 days out is where you start escaping theta. So how about Exxon? Ah, this one looks like it's gonna be fun to trade. Oh, that's perfect. Easy money. Again, 50% of every single box is going to be cost basis, which is where the majority of the volume is at. So with ExxonMobil, I can actually see a pretty solid trade back up and back down. One of the first areas you need to reclaim for confirmation for continuation of the upside will be 148.21. And then down below, right, you've got a gap here at 146.21, but cost basis under there would more than likely give you that 143.50. Now, let me be clear here. Let me be clear. This is I misspoke. This is a range, not a box. And this gives me the opportunity to tell you guys the difference. A box is going to have more than 2 points of contact on both sides. This has one and one, and then it goes back up. So while the same dynamic is true where there is a 50, the majority of the volume is at the 50% mark, it doesn't count as a signal. It's only like if the floor is lost, yes, that's a short, and that's where you look at your target underneath you. So I have some positions on Qs, oil X Goofy. Yeah, but you know what? There's volatility in there. Can I get my there's so many questions, man. You don't remember me? Perchance. Major Guap. This sounds familiar. Yeah, it does sound familiar, actually. Major Guap. Yeah, I've said your name before. Yeah. That's right. You were locked up in prison talking with me. That's right. You were learning the strat when you were locked. How you got out? Oh my God, dude, let's go. Hell yeah, man. Dude, you know what's funny is I had somebody like two different individuals 10 years later, man. Congrats, dude. Hopefully everything is resolved, but I had two people say they were following me from prison. Right now they're learning my strategy. I'm not exactly sure how he got into the Potterbox workshop and how he paid for it, but he did. Yeah. I know I'm rehabilitating the financial markets in prison. Um Hell yeah. All right. Let's keep see if we can find you some gains, dude. Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's right. He said it. I mean, I know how obviously I know how things, are transported in there, but SMC cross cost basis at 31.70 on the 24 hour. I want to know your thoughts. I'm going long SMCI. My pops is enjoying your content, Papa Diddler. Does your dad know? Does he know about you, dude? So you're gonna have to show me where cost basis is on this one, man. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, you got to be looking at a lower time frame. Yeah. So here's I'll narrate what I see here, because this is honestly, there's money to be made possibly on the break, but you have tight structure underneath you holding you up at 31.70. You're sitting in structure right now with an overhead 32.75 candle close, and that is coming off of this nice little nest egg of volume right up at that $33 level, right? You're not even able to get. So in order for you to go up, you would need to punch through this range. And you would need, and then at that point, again, zooming back out on the 24 hour, we do like the potential of SMCI, but we know that it's that mark of 35.65 that has to break for us to see upside. And I do like a lot of different things about this setup: the consolidation, fire, the potential range. Right when things are expandable like this, that's fire, and definitely gives way to at least within the channel a retest of this 39 or $40 floor. Day 100,000 asking for a kiss. I think we'd be dead by now, right? Yeah. What's up, Manny? GLD, I went over that one a little bit earlier. Obviously, GC is probably where you're looking at the moment. And then at this point, I have a two targets, one on the 2 hour of 30, what is that, 52 or 5,300. And then right now, as we speak, I have a still target of 5225, which is a previous floor that we had on. But if again, stepping back out, we've talked about this one on a higher time frame. I believe that this is more than likely going to be the range for gold for a while. And it might be something like that on the 4 hour. Yeah, on the 4 hour. Typically, when you have this massive wide fluctuation in price, even if it even down here, that's that big bam bam, right? That actually can potentially start range. And with that wide of an area, it's that big pop up that'll kind of keep us in range. So anyway, lower time frame trades pretty much only on this one. The only other thing that I can point out here is what does appear to be control, right? And again, this is short-term control here, but that's again something that can be broken. So hymns, yeah. Let's look at something else. Let's look at some stocks. That's dead in the water. Oh shit! Damn, this thing needs a Bluetooth, brother. Okay, so it makes perfect sense why you're sitting where you are. You do have consolidation. You do have a 24-hour first target of 1936 directly up above you. However, what needs to break in order for you to get there? I would like to see a candle flip over 1635 and outside of $17. How? You could be looking for your first target. However, nope, that is solid. Yes, actually, you know what? I'm gonna set an alert on this. I'm setting an alert right now at 1630 on hymns. I would more than likely be looking at, and there's multiple ways to play here. Uh, First target and lower time frame contract, probably a week out, depending on the day that it goes. But over 1633 and outside of 1691, you would have a first target of 1750 for shorter expiration contracts. Now, at this point, a longer expiration or a swing trader could be potentially looking at this one for a trip up and out towards the 1850 mark with about 2 weeks of expiration more than likely behind that. Anything further would be obviously be much more, and you'd be looking at the 24-hour target of 2337. That's a month out. Yeah, hymns were yeah, that was crazy. All right, let's speed this up. What else do we have here? Drop your request so I can get to it. I gotta put my kids to bed here soon. So, um, hey, I am okay. Potter, I am new to your channel. I found you through TikTok when you called out Rusty Rod and Alex. Yeah, I got scammed. No jail anything. Oh hell. Well, I'm glad you got away from that, man. Um, there's a lot of obviously I have a great deal of detail on those individuals. But those dudes are yeah. I have zero respect for them as human beings. How old am I? 33. 33 years old. About to be 34 in May. All right, let's see. Have you looked at Apple? Yes, I did, Penny. That one's on YouTube. You can look back. I'm streaming live on that one as well. So Tristan Trade scammed me. Let me write that down. I actually know I've been watching that motherfucker forever. I mean, you could just see his face, dude. He kind of looks like he doesn't know what the fuck. I don't know. That's being judgmental, but you know what? In the stock market, you can judge. You can judge as much as you want. Be super judgy. Yeah, you know what? In the stock market, when you're looking for a mentor, you should be a dick. Oh, you want to withhold a part of your strategy so you can charge me more because I just want to learn? Whack. Get out of there. Oh, you're using something I can Google? Out of there. Oh, there's many videos for this on YouTube for free, but you're charging? Come on, bruh. What drink is this? It's raw organic hydration. I'm a fan. What do I think of Rusty Rod? I think he's a scammer. I think he blew smoke up my ass for a year, maybe less. He's one of those people who is always looking, no matter where he is, in fact, all of the people that left with him and some of the people who were like running it with him, those motherfuckers are, he basically scammed them too. Um, but he's just a selfish individual who will look at somebody who is just trying to better their life, try to change their life, and is looking for guidance, which is a vulnerable place to be. And those, again, this happened to me. That's probably why I have this strong sense of justice, is because it shit happened to me, and it pissed me off because I'm like, dude, basically all of you guys, and I decided that I wasn't going to learn from anybody. I didn't go out trying to create the Potter box. The Potter box came to me after a lot of suffering, $80,000 of unrealized gains gone, depression, frustration, quitting, restarting. Can I get some of your raw organic hydration? We're gonna clip that. Let me clip that real quick because we're gonna keep that for evidence, just in case you're a Mossad agent. See that? See that right there, guys? That's the kind of shit I get. That's what I get, man. How do I like my steak? Uh, kind of, kind of not raw, but like red, pretty red. Nice sear on both sides, good crust, garlic, heavy garlic. Yeah. Do I ever short-term credit spreads? Nah. Blue rare? Yeah, I'll fuck with a blue steak, but because I have kids, I don't get to eat blue steak very often. Um, I'll make myself a steak and I'll make it blue, but yeah. Uh, yeah. I definitely like a hard sear and pretty pretty red on the inside, so most aggressive? Neo. I invest really aggressively with my shares. He said he made 500K in a day like 2 weeks ago. Is that fake? Yes, that's fake. Yes, that is 100% fake. I'm sorry. He is no. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm not listen, judge. You need to judge people here. But I'm Potter, can I teach AI your strategy? AI already knows my strategy. But at least they know who I am and what my strategy is. But no, I'm just saying that he mentioned getting his teeth fixed years ago, or yeah, years ago now. This motherfucker, I'm sorry, and not to judge anybody who does have crooked teeth or anything like that, but if you that was something that you said you were going to do, if you made 500K or 200K, you should have a all of the same monitors, not marketplace monitors. Your grill should be fixed. That was one of the first things I did when I started making money, was get my grill fixed because I got my shit rocked when I got robbed in when I was, if anybody doesn't know, I was locked up when I was 18 and or 19 years old for a year for a little doober, and it was in the backwoods of Georgia. But that was one of the first things I did was get my teeth fixed. I made like about $57,000 on a really big like kind of home run field or home run hit trade. Uh, and I just look at people like that. Like we had a dude who came out of my Discord who was posting paper trading gains, and people thought that it was real. And I think the first time he posted it, he was like genuinely just posting what he was trying to do. And then he started posting like $200,000 gains. People were like, "Whoa, dude, that's crazy!" And so he started like his head started blowing up. Um, and he even got so far, like, this is why I don't believe motherfuckers. Like, he even went as far as to like cry on stream about this money that he made. But and over like a duration of like a couple of months, he had made well over $1 million. Um, but still drove a fucking 2005 Camry with like a busted wheel and like how like there are some things that we make money for so that we can improve our lives. I'm not saying you need to drive a fucking Lambo because I know that I don't want one nor need one. um that I'm not a car guy, so that shit doesn't interest me. But yeah, that shit doesn't really make sense. I really need your help, dude. What's up? Get APAC out of US Gov. Yeah, no stop loss Steve, that was his name. You need a Lambo? I don't need a Lambo, man. I have my money working for me still, dude. I'm past that age, dude. I'm 33. You know what I mean? If I was 25 or even like 22, I probably would have bought some shit like that. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes with money when I first started making it, and I bought a lot of shit that I really didn't need. And I even saw some of my friends buying shit that like bust down fucking APs and shit like that, and I'm like, that shit's fucking, again, what am I trying to do? What am I, it's just not my thing. I've never been, there's a couple of, chains and jewelry that I have that, I really liked it a lot. So I bought it, but yeah, I even sometimes regret that shit. So, um, am I driving a busted Camry? Nah, I'm driving a. Well, I have a couple of cars, but I'm driving one of my car, personal car, is a 2016 4Runner, but I have it lifted and the tires are out, and I've got a snorkel on it now, and it's getting a wrap next week. So my wedding rings, yeah, my wedding ring was this it's got a inlay of crushed emeralds and then my wife's birthstone on the inside as well. Um confirms. Oh yeah, that's a scam. Garrett, stop talking. You have buyer's remorse, which is internally a good signal you're still connected to Earth. Yeah, I be thinking, what do I think of TJR? I don't want to learn from a rich kid on how to change my life. You know what I mean? Like if I was coming from somebody else's perspective, I don't want some kid whose dad went to private school who already had liquidity, whether it was from a crypto trade or not, who's using somebody else's strategy, who that person strategy who he's using goes to the Robin's Cup every year and blows his fucking account and embarrasses himself and then just make some weird ass excuse for it while he says that he's been kidnapped by algorithm makers so that way he could design the algorithm for the stock market. That's not my guru. And anybody who uses that shit, again, most of the things that I see from retired ICT traders, not retired as in they made money, is they have analysis paralysis because there is only so much information that you can use in the moment. Um, and a lot of this shit is so much information and then it's so fast and then you're using prop firms which have so many fucking rules, so you're already set up to lose in a market that's already designed to try to stop you out. So I personally, yeah, anyway. Potter, what do I think of Jesus? I think his what he said was pretty cool, you know about the neighbors and you know being kind and doing the right thing. Like, so I don't trust order blocks. What's there to trust about it? You know what I mean? Like, and there's probably like, if they call it structure, again, you're over my strategy, right? My strategy from the 5 minute to the 24 hour is the same thing every single I mean, literally, and some people have even like tried to not tease me, but like literally make fun of me because like, I remember I took a trade on Meta, and this guy, and the contracts were $85, and I sold them for like over $1,200 a piece. Insane trade. And he goes, "Well, that was super easy setup." And I'm like, "Well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Make it hard? Like, what? I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody. But my strategy in a motherfucking nutshell is I know through long from using volume profile, even TPO charts, that the majority, if not all of the major volume is at the 50% mark of any area of consolidation, whether it be the 5 minute or the 24 hour. If there's more than 3 points or 2 points of contact on either side of that box, then that has formidable volume that when you punch through the 50% mark of that box, yes, and I know they call it distribution and stuff like that, the tomato tomato, but this has been happening since they used to draw charts. I look for higher time frame, 24-hour empty space, or just simply put, a lack of structure. So I take my trades, target based contracts, which nobody thinks that a um how can I learn with you without spending money? Get APAC out of the US government. DM me. Just DM me, bro. DM me. I got you. Um, but that being said, I buy contracts that most people, yeah, 24 hours better than a daily, but that most people don't think there is no volume on the contracts that I buy, right? And so when I buy, there is some volume depending on where the expiration is, but a lot of volume is not typically sitting at my targets, which is again one of the reasons that when I show people this, people will be like, "Oh, that, that doesn't happen all the time." Like, no, this is I'm looking to maximize every dollar that I make, and I'm looking and focusing on higher time frames, because if the 5 minute is true, right? If the same thing, like you're trading lower time frame moves and that's you're expecting a smaller move because of it, I'm focused on the higher time frame moves because it's the same shit. The market is a fractal of itself. But I mean, 100% is, light work when the majority of our trades average, 3 to 5 to 600%. Um, Pragmatic anal approaches. Finally, someone that makes sense. Fuck yeah. Yeah, I'm a little anal. Artisanal, if you will. Do you guys ever think the word artisanal is just art is anal, which is also true? Which that just tickles me so much. But I mean, I've done this before where like I'll fucking close my eyes and scroll up, and the percentages that we post stay the same. Um, and that's again because we are looking to maximize the trades that we take, and we do it with low risk. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but look at the cost of 40 cents, right? 40 cents to $165. So $40 to $165 for a $312 dollar return. Um, that I mean, this is actually a little bit higher risk, but $190 to $775 for a 300% return. Um, we had this dude who fucking 1900% trade. You're not gonna fucking believe this shit. So tell me, next time you go to the store and buy, like you could take $100 and for, 100, $200, and for 6 months, right? You're only trying to test the strategy out. Maybe you buy one or two contracts. Look at this shit. $5 to 100. So buy 10 of them, right? And you got like two cases of beer. That's $882. That is, again, I'm not trying to sell you. I'm just trying to sell you on my strategy, which you can learn for fucking free if you don't want to pay me a dime. You can go to my YouTube channel, it's all there. But the percentages, they stay pretty much the same. 440%. How long of an expiration do you go out for a week long move? 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. If you know that it's going to have to push through some sort of resistance in front of you, you do need to have expiration on your contracts to deal with the fact that theta decay on any sort of pullback, the closer you are to expiration will um, fuck you up. We had somebody in here hit. I think they hit a yeah. This one was a 715% trade. So just pretty consistent. And this has been again years. $38, 426% trades. I want to print too. How? Listen, right now, everybody, everybody, anybody. If you've paid somebody else and you're like, I need to see proof before I do anything, or even I'm not paying anybody ever again because I'm tired of that shit. Yes, go to my fucking YouTube and because it's not all in chronological order and it's not held in a class format, it is a little bit more spread out. But there are videos I've dedicated on my channel. Where is it at? Playlist and then educational playlist right here. Oh, I hate that I pop up like that. Gross. Um, where did my TikTok screen go? There you are. Hold on one second. So my bad. All right. So go to my. This is all free. This video, and I'll show you guys. Oh God, I look like an idiot. Um, oh, here he is again. All right. So if you look over to your left, right? All of these videos, every single one of these, which this is a hour and 24 minutes, hour and 20 minutes, hour and 23 minutes, hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, 2 hour or 3 hours, sorry, an hour, 2 hours, two more hours, an hour and 30 minutes, 2 hours. I explain a QQQ short here. This is a three. So there are, yeah, there's a shit ton of information. And uh, what a handsome devil from a backwoods of Georgia to a trading wizard. Yeah. I'm not born. I wasn't born in Georgia, but yeah, that strategy works like a motherfucker. My trade percentages have been so much higher. Listen, that's one of the things that blows people away. I was really, man, I'm proud of this guy too because I love when people come in and I mean, obviously they listen. But this dude didn't even, he said it. He said he did, he didn't even know what a candlestick was until about a month ago. And just, I mean, again, for a first trade right here, that's not bad. $15 to $75 for a 400% trade. Are they under Potter? Is Potter Stocks trading it? Also, those people with a brain injury. Yeah, but we have two people who are. I mean, again, they have experienced traumatic brain injuries, and I mean, I've had people who are quadriplegics. It doesn't. It doesn't matter. I think the actually, funny enough, I saw an interview with somebody on Wall Street and I even saw a fucking video, and I'm not saying that this guy is obviously he's the devil, but Epstein has been or Easteen. I don't want to say his real name, which I already did. But he was in a couple of different emails, and even in an interview, he was talking about everything is preset. Um, or made to seem overcomplicated. And this was again somebody on Wall Street as well was saying that he's like, there's all this mysticism around the stock market as if you have to be a fucking genius, but it's really simplicity and repetition that allows you to be a winner. And when I say I mean, I straight up, yeah, the files are fucking. Listen, I'm not gonna get into it, and like I said, we know that he's like one of those individuals who had a greater insight. Whether he's a piece of dog shit, but um, he has that piece of dog shit insight and you have to be probably a massive piece of dog shit to be able to have that kind of insight but yeah he did and so that being said, right, when I say that I repeat the same thing on the chart, I actually have inside of my Discord, we went through and charted all of the gains that we had done that year, and we looking back at all of the setups that we took. um this one was on Reddit. It's a box. Again, it's not a punchback, but we do take a lot of trades. Even this again, Mara is a trade that we took punchback into empty space. Kava, we took this trade a while back through empty space. Same thing there. Am I watching my own stream now? Oh, I hear my own. Pipe down, me. All right. Um, but yeah, Reddit and then Kava was a setup that we took as well. Sorry, my screens are all over the place. But this is all I'm trying to say is, I am only trying to, and that's actually why I'm looking at Kava right now again. Empty space, floor needs to be recovered, everything is clear. Celsius, same thing. I just went over that one earlier. Nike, well, I love trading Nike when it sets up. Beautiful box, empty space to my left. That's where I take my trade. Schwab, that's another one that we took last year. Beautiful punchback right here through the 50% mark, nothing but empty space. And I do that over and over and over and over again. And that's why the consistency behind those percentages. And am I am in a position to make more and do less, which is the definition, in my opinion, of freedom and why the fuck I got into the stock market in the first place. Because that's what I was pitched, actually. That's what everybody says is like you make more money and you can just chill by the pool and shit like that. And obviously, that's not always realistic regardless how much money you make, because if you make more money you probably got more problems and you got more responsibilities and you've adjusted your lifestyle, so now you got to keep doing shit. But I don't want to sit in front of my fucking computer all day. Do I journal my trades? I'm not as I do journal my trades, but I used to use a trade tracking journal, and that was essential for me to be able to understand what I was doing right and what I was doing wrong. But at some point when my risk to reward was nailed down, I don't update it as much, obviously. So this busy be a recorded live? This is not a recorded live. Yeah. Yeah, made by, yeah, exactly, Luke. I really don't under. What's up, Cade? Or Samuel Cade Smith. Let's see, just great stuff. I see IWM to the downside. I do have my handy dandy notebook where I'm tracking a lot of things, but obviously that's not. Yeah, so again, with IWM, before I break into this again, right now, especially with futures, there is a short premise here. One of the first steps in order to get down is, below 261 and then underneath 260 flat. But as far as targets to the downside, we were discussing this. Target one's going to be 257.30 and 255.30. And then runners go to, and this is where this play kind of opens up, is I see a potential trade down into that 250, 275 area. So yeah, Luke, unfortunately, that's the way it is. So hey, Potter, happy Sunday. Hope you have a great weekend. Looking forward to your workshop. Looking forward to teaching it, man. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Could I look at shop to the upside? Yeah. Yeah, comment your guys' requests. I was just teaching because right now futures, obviously, with where they're not out of the ranges, so I'm not really looking to exhaust myself. Now, Shopify, right? We can go ahead and encapsulate this thing on the 24-hour in a range, right? Perfect. One, two, three, four, five 24-hour candles to do what it took you two candles and empty space to accomplish first. So we have basically, we'll call it two off the top and two off the bottom. Now, this is where, right, there is no greater detail. I can, however, encapsulate this, which would be one of our first targets, but nothing else really comes up. There is opportunities here. So if we were bullish and we did fire, that would be one of the first targets that I would be looking at is 155. That would make it worth my while. However, I cannot stop doing analysis there, right? It doesn't, the market is all connected via time frames. So without one, right, or without even having a lower time frame plan, I'm not going to be able to really navigate this. So on the 4 hour, all of a sudden your range expands. And again, doing top down analysis will allow for you to potentially enter intraday or end of day. So that way you have or you are prepared. Now, one of the first things that I see in this encapsulating this range really doesn't do anything for me, but marking out this does. And because this structure was ripped through and then flushed through with no structure, it is still valid. So I can use, it's not a signal, but I can still utilize this. Now, one of the, again, everything is connected. One of the things you need to do, and I teach this in the workshop, is if price is going to go higher, it needs to grab on to a floor. And I use a rock climbing analogy in order to explain this. Price has to, right, settle or close on a floor to see continuation to the upside. Um, so step one, right, would be reclaiming that 130. But what did this box reject off of, right? So if we mark out what's above, obviously this range, not box, but range is that first area. So that's the 4 hour. I'm not done. 2 hour. And every chart gets the same treatment. If it's a good setup, I am looking at what is above and what is below. Because if you go into a trade without knowing what the fuck is all around you, you are going to feel fear, and fear is going to interrupt your trading. It's going to be a variable. Eliminate the variables. Are you scared? Why? What does most fear come from? The unknown. If you don't know, that's a problem that can be solved, and that's what we're doing now by doing top-down motherfucking analysis. All right? Yeah, I got about 5 minutes, and my kids are gonna be knocking on my door. Bedtime. All right. So good news. How do you get into the workshop? You can go to my website, which is pottersockstrading.com. Hey man, I lost 50,000 bucks because of you. No, you didn't. I've never seen you before in my life. But you were sent here, I'm going to assume safely, by somebody else to try to tarnish this live or my image. Not very good attempt. And if you had or were losing that much money, I am constantly, I lost a lot on my demo account. Sorry, that's good stuff. If you were losing that much, I constantly reach out to everybody inside of my Discord every single day, and I ask, pulse check, how's everybody doing? Does anybody have any questions? Anybody in a bad trade? Anybody struggling? So I would assume that you would have reached out to me in one of those moments. But anyway, that was a slick one. Not slick enough, but slick. All right, so real quick, beautiful, right? Which membership can I buy to copy your trades? You cannot. And I would not recommend joining my Discord or purchasing anything from me if you want me to tell you what to do about everything. And then when you take signals and you're in a situation that you don't know how to manage and your money's in trouble, and now you don't have a strategy or any knowledge of the market, I'm not going to be that guy. I teach people how to become independent traders using a strategy that works. I trade with them. We trade together as a group. I trade live. All of my information and strategy is on YouTube, and I also teach it inside of a Potterbox workshop or inside of my Potterbox workshop. But I am and will never offer signals because they do not work. Your brain cannot be given the honey and then try to manage the honey by yourself. I know that makes no sense, but humans are like bees. We go after what is easiest. So you cannot have a snack right next to you and expect somebody to work for the snacks. It doesn't work that way. But also, the snacks that you would be eating would be poisoned. I'm just kidding. Sorry. Why do you have so little followers? Oh no, not a big deal. That's a totally reasonable question. Um, that's because I got in trouble for talking about Israel. And my page, this is actually the fourth page that I've started. My first one had like 200,000 followers, then I had 180,000 followers, and then I had 80,000 followers, and I've been banned 3 times for bullying other traders. I've been like, but I don't care because again, the followers and stuff like that's not really important to me at all. But and then this one, I talked about the wrong country at the wrong time. So you need a few face tattoos. Well, I thought you guys might think this sty right here was a teardrop. I got that teardrop from all the traders I've smoked. I'm just kidding. Sorry. Ah. Potter's the real deal. His Discord's worth the price. Hell yeah. Um, you, do I ever use prop firms? No, I don't. Uh, yeah. All right. So real quick, let me finish this up because I really feel like you guys could watch this back on YouTube. This will help out a lot. So again, one of the reasons that I used boxes that price has already moved through is because of the velocity, right? Earnings is we're not building structure, right? So this big whip up and down is actually easier to move through, and you can reuse the structure to your left to mark out what needs to happen or where price needs to reclaim. So the first and most obvious thing is yes, you need to reclaim 130, which is also a psychological number. Your protection, right, is above or staying above 124.61, and any punch down candle close 1 hour underneath 122 would drive price back down to 115. Simple, right? So punch here, punch there. Now, why am I pointing out the short play? Because that is how you know where to fucking stop out, right? If you can acknowledge or find the downside play, you know where price cannot go. So sellers are going to want to pull price underneath 124.70. If they do, cost basis is in danger. If they punch through, you're down, right? And I would obviously look at the first, if you have a wick sticking out of your box, don't ever say that in public, by the way. If you ever say, in fact, I would shut your computer down right now. Um, but, uh, but yeah, if you have a wick sticking out of your box, you're going to want to go to the doctor or you're going to want to mark that out to potentially bounce off of. So, lock them up. Sorry. Beeg.com is the best trading website, by the way. That's a wild thing. Y'all gotta check. All right, we'll check it out, Nat. We'll check it out. Thanks, buddy. I'm a financer from New York. You want to see some wicks sticking out of some boxes? There you go. Do I trade live on TikTok? I do, here and there. Sometimes I don't. All right, so let's keep moving on. I'm getting distracted. First of all, green 130.50 is the floor. Candle close, rebuild. That's where you need to close, right? So obviously you would need to see price, and it would be nice to chop up a little bit in here, and on that third attempt, make your push. At that point, you would have a first price target, and I wouldn't be aiming anywhere other than 135 and 136, two price targets directly up above you. If 136 gets reclaimed, I think you have a perfectly, and this is where the bigger play, the more profitable, higher time frame play works out. So now we've solved all those lower time frame setups. We've looked down on the lower time frames. So zooming back out, the bigger play, the bigger target is the gap, which is also simultaneously the floor. Hui wee. Now, we will have a couple of layovers, if you will. First will be 149.32. It'll be essential that price, but I would assume if you're moving above 144. So let's recap. First, 135, right? 135.50, 135.85. Second, right? We're going to acknowledge, obviously, there we go. We're going to acknowledge cost basis as it was at 140, which is also psychological. So all of these areas that I'm marking out can be utilized as entries, right? Or and stop losses, because you want your entries and your stop losses to be aligned with structure, so that way you can guarantee to an extent, depending on your expiration, that if price reverses underneath this level, you don't have to fear that price will continue moving. You know, and if you're not fearful of it, then you can make a good decision. Now, that being said, I think the bigger play says a break over 144 if all of these lower time frame gadgets or gears work, then we're looking at a target of 155.55. So dead ass. That is a solid setup. And this is again why well, not this is again why, but this is just to point out what a good setup that we're looking, and this is going to happen on earnings more than likely. But we have a pocket of empty space. We have an overhead 1, 2, 3 taps of the support, and again, buyers are interested in keeping price from reclaiming certain levels because certain levels, as people have been suspicious of, have algorithms. Now that's just people say that shit, but it's just a bunch of buy orders. And when that floor gets reclaimed and there's no resistance to stop you, and sellers, right? Sellers actually exiting their position drive price up. So if you beat sellers or keep a push over resistance, you are also getting that additional volume from them. So empty space is typically filled really quickly because there is no resistance. You can actually see this phenomenon happening over here to your left, right? Coming out of a box. But once we punch through that box, we see price move in a three waves basically up to that previous overhead resistance and empty space. So I suspect that, yes, that target of 83.65 and 84.75 will be hit. So wait, I've never seen people talking about dudes teaching trades while they ain't. Wait, what? The expiration on a play like Cavo, you would be out because so typically I add a week per resistance. So if you were to take it now, another but this is something that it has earnings. And because it has earnings, and I don't mind taking earnings trades if they line up with my strategy. I do take them with lower risk, and I do take them with target-based contracts to maximize risk to reward. So I lower my risk by taking target-based out of the money contracts. And I size down. So, and this has been a strategy that I've been. Yeah, I am recording this. It's all on YouTube. I'm streaming live on YouTube as well. So I don't. I've been struggling and trying really hard, studying like a motherfucker. Studying what? My strategy or somebody else's? Follow me, my new account. What? What would be the stop loss if we push through on shop? Well, it depends on where you decide to get in, right? Right now, and I could actually go to the 30-minute and we can break this down even further. And this is, again, a lot of people, including Rusty Rod, which, I mean, just marketing wise, why the fuck would you name yourself that? That is insane. I mean, it sounds simultaneously perverted and not working. Like my rusty rod hurts, or my rusty rod won't. My car has a rusty rod, and now it won't work. But anyway, I digress. Shopify, look at this. I fucking love this system. I love doing what I do because I'm not full of shit. Obviously, right now, we can spot structure. We see a wide fluctuation in price. This identifies a potential or a temporary trend change. And I have structure, right? Not to mention that structure allowed at the end of the day for price to, in one way or another, settle on the floor, whilst also leaving a box underneath you with it. Oh my God, I'm a bus. 126 triggered down. So if you lost that, you would fall. But I also can see that there's relatively actually, hold on, I'm wrong. There is pretty much empty space. Damn, this strategy is oh my God, y'all, hold on. It gets better, right? It gets better because you have multiple triggers directly up above you. I didn't even see this until just now. So wick, right here. So look at those wicks all off the same mark. Typically, I don't always include wicks, but if they're all touching the same price mark, that's it. Now hold on. Oh my God, it's the 50% mark that rejected you. So we want to see price move above 127.23, fluidly push up and over. Now, here's the secret, right? If we can keep, or this is where your recognition of good volume or price action is essential. We obviously need to see price pushing and holding once it reclaims or pushes over those levels. So it's okay to see a pullback. If price pushes up like here and then pulls back, that's okay. We as long as we stay above those triggers. But this right here is what sets that trade up for more success, right? Is the fact that there is little to no resistance leading up to 130. So here's what I would do if this was open. First of all, price is gapping down on the ETF. So we might be anticipating a gap down here. Remind me tomorrow and we'll look at that. If that's the case, then I would expect some a little bit of manipulation, just like my ex-girlfriend, and then distribution, which is what she did to my money. But I was kidding. I was just kidding. But that's where you, I'm sorry, that's where you would want to see price pop up. And if you can reclaim that floor, that's where I would potentially buy, right? That is where I can set a stop loss because if you bounce hard and you rip up to that floor, I could use that. But I typically like to take trades when I know that there's little to nothing in front of me, right? I want to take a trade probably and more than likely on that 126.50 level and into this empty space here. Why? Because it allows for price to move away from my entry. So I have a little bit of a more relaxed or a little bit more of a stress-free entry where price is far away from, so I can make decisions. But with that being said, you would be looking at 128.15, and any of these boxes or areas where red candles close can be utilized as stop losses. So anyway, all of this lower time frame work is just what? Trying to solve the bigger play, right? Now hold on. Things can get real sexy here. Check this out. Bam, floor, box, double time. So by reclaiming 136.75, you've also simultaneously reclaimed the floor. Now I think that whatever trend was on this is cooked, but trend getting reclaimed, that's when shit gets real tasty. Oh no, that's a big fat channel. That's what that is right there. So there's definitely that. Yeah, I'm gonna write this down. Fucking done convinced myself. Contracts probably be a bitch though. The spread is usually nasty on shop. If it's nasty, we move on. So contracts are the icing on the cake, and I don't eat cake without icing. Even if it's a thin layer of icing, I'm not eating cake without icing. Anybody who eats cake without icing is probably a horse. All right. Or you're eating a muffin. You're just eating a muffin. All right. Ooh, speaking of muffins, I got a strawberry muffin from a bakery today. All right. Anyway, I forgot where I was going. Oh, we were done. Yeah. So anyway, you got a good setup right now. We'll watch Shopify going into next week. Um, yeah, I just imagine somebody taking a whole cake and just biting into it, and it's just there's no icing there. So, all right, I'm gonna do a quick scan through my watch list here, which isn't always uh, ready, but I'm watching CCL. However, this one is not giving off the volume that I wanted it to for what could have been or could be still a potentially big trade. So that one still stays on standby. And I set alerts on the wicks at 32.50. And when those fire, I'll start looking at it again. I'm just checking some of the stocks that I have. Basically horse food, kava bag inbound. Yeah, dude, kava's got to be a horse food. I think they made that for horses, and then like somebody was really hungry, ate it, and they're like, you know what, it's kind of good, and they're like, fuck it, let's start a restaurant. Uh, damn, shawty, hold on. Coin 180 is a rip ass, but that's going to be your target next week. That will be a fire trade because listen, if there is one stock that there's a lot of stocks actually, so don't let me oversell this, but coin rips ass. It dumps ass, but it also rips ass. And this is the third time that you are down here at the floor. Now you're getting a lackluster ass bounce, which could mean we have more short. And typically the third time is decision time, and that could lead you down to 113. But man, I'm gonna set alert on that one. Rusty Rod said he made his own strategy, but it looks very similar to yours. Funny how that works, huh? Funny. You know, if he actually stayed and finished learning, he would be maybe ultra ethically scamming, maybe like an ethical scammer, because there would still be a chance that people could make money. Shit, I'd rather him scam people and teach them my strategy because at that point they might have a fighting chance. He said he had no help and he made it from scratch. Well, I have DMs from him saying otherwise. All right. I don't know. You know what? Take a picture of my smile and send it to Rusty. All right, we're done. I'm sorry. That was a low blow. That was low hanging fruit. I shouldn't have done it. Got to be better. We got to be better, you know? I hear Kratos in the back of my mind right now, you know? We must be better. I think maybe it's bad. We must be better. Dude, that game, that's one of the best games I've ever played in my life. No cap. One of my buddies in his Discord said that he's sending you to his lawyers. Let's go. That means he's going to have to expose it all. I love it. Absolutely. Expose it all. Put it all out on the table there, Rusty. Yeah, 16 mismatched screens. All right. I'm gonna go ahead. It's 9 o'clock, guys. I gotta go say goodnight to my kiddos and tuck them into bed. Is Elf a good watch? Yeah, I'm an elf right now. That's another great. Yeah, this one's good. I really like Elf. I really like it. I'm going to be beautiful with Elf. Yeah, I like it. Make it another movie? I don't know. Not right now, Jeffrey. I'm about to go, but all right. Anyway, make sure to go follow the YouTube channel, websites Potter Stocks Trading. If those of you who've been watching me for a while are looking for the workshop, which is on March 1st, I will be live tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube and on TikTok, and we'll see if futures keep up the downstream. Let's see real quick before I take off here. Hmm. I bought some speculative IWM and QQQ position. I don't know why I typed in IWM like the motherfucker's open, but I might be onto something. I might be on something. Not yet, but I'm not. Oh my! Look at it. Look with your eyes, dude. Do you guys see this? You guys should be excited about IWM, man. You should be excited about IWM. At 2600 right there. Ooh. The beautiful, beautiful points of contact down below. Sheesh. The empty space all the way here. Even better. Come on down. That's going to be a fun trade. I'm in on Qs and IWM. I hope IWM makes us a bag, man. I mean, I say I hope, but I feel I mean, the probability is in our favor. The only thing that we have to worry about is that this is going to be a gap down. And if it does not gap down far enough, it will immediately reverse. And it will go and retest, and we want that reversal to be fast. But I do expect that levels like, at least on RTY, will 2613 2615 they will respond. So Jeffrey, no, I'm out of all of my long-term ETFs. The only thing I'm holding on to right now are some of my dividend stocks like QYLD and stuff like that. But that's yeah, I don't really have any ETF investments anymore. I have individual equities that I still invested in, but I'm yeah, all of those are out. So, all right, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Appreciate you guys. Go drop a comment on a video or something. Appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.